Hello and welcome to Doing Business in Rwanda with me, Arnold Segawa. Coming up on the show, we are at the Aviation Africa Summit 2017 being hosted right here in beautiful and remarkable Kigali, Rwanda. And we seek to unpack some of the challenges that we do see when it comes to air travel and the air industry at large. We're looking at hardly any direct flights between Ouagadougou and Harare. What does that mean for the continent that is seen to be rising, quote unquote, and accounting for barely 4% when it comes to aviation travel and air travel across the globe, as opposed to the continent that has a population of over 1 billion people. This is Doing Business in Rwanda. Hundreds of thousands of passengers board an average of 100,000 flights per day, traveling around the world for business and leisure. Aviation has evolved into the quintessential enabler. At the Aviation Africa Summit, we catch up with aviation experts to discuss the future of aeronautical engineering on a continent grappling with meager air travelers.
From Rolls-Royce, I mean, we've a very solid but steady start. We ensure that we train the airlines and the airline staff either in Derby at our Rolls-Royce facility, or we bring the trainer to the airline to train the engineers, very qualified engineers that you have in Africa.
The aviation is going to grow in a big step for the coming few years because of the, the economic expansion in the continent. But to support this aviation growth with local or national people, we need to double our efforts to train and bring about professionals in this sector.
We absolutely have to ensure that the engineers and the African engineers that we train are trained to the highest level. And I think going forward, that the more that we grow in Africa, we will set prevalent as we go along.
Unfortunately, we also have less number of engineers and pilots in the continent. That is mainly because not because the youth are not fit for aviation, but the aviation sector is a bit expensive. So individuals or parents cannot always pay for their training and then turn them into good pilots or technicians. I think if governments get involved and then sponsor people to do this training in academies, then we will have proportionally high number of aviation professionals in Africa.
With sub-Saharan Africa eager to reap the benefits of connectivity, the aviation ecospace is fast expanding and tapping into the rising industry.
Presently, we have an office in Johannesburg, an office in Ethiopia, and an office in Egypt, manned by staff, and we would look to use those people in those offices to support the airline. Any questions that the operator may have, but I think it's important that we give training to every single airline that takes our product. So this year, for example, we have, or should I say last year, Ethiopian took 2 of our products. They took the Trent 1000 on the Boeing 787, and they took the Trent XWB on the A350. And we have trained all our engineers to an extremely high level. I think, I was talking to the trainer the other week, I think they've got to get 95 to 98% in their tests before we will sign them off of completing the course and fit to work on the engines.
Very high standards, I would
extremely
say.
high standards, yeah. and safety is absolutely paramount. And that's what we need to ensure, that anyone who operates, because these are highly technical machines. Years ago, you had the reciprocating engines like the Merlin on the Spitfire that you know, any mechanic could probably go in and have a play with and fix. But the engines we have nowadays are absolutely nothing like that. So I mean, I've worked in aviation for nearly over 30 years now. Gosh, when I look back, for over 30 years, and I've done everything. So from the flight line to stripping and building a jet engine when I was in the military and I was in the Royal Air Force, to supporting operations and now managing customers and marketing. I'm now the marketing director for the Middle East and Africa.
We do see potential for growth in the next years, in decades definitely, and we are present in the continent, including the support we are giving to Rwanda, the flag carrier here, and besides Rwanda we have some other customers and partners in Africa, so we definitely see this potential of growth. And it's a focus of Lufthansa Technik also, Africa in the future.
Our involvement in Rwanda, specifically my area, is maintenance, business promotion, selling our services to African carriers. So we have also sold our maintenance services to Rwanda Air. Currently we have more than 16 technicians serving Rwanda Air. When Rwanda Air grows, we continue to grow with that. And side by side, we are also working to build internal capability of the Rwandese nationals here, so that eventually they will take over this business. So far, we are doing good. We are serving them. We are also getting business from Rwanda Air.
Innovation is fast defining Africa's aviation industry. From engine maintenance to designing and building unmanned aerial vehicles with a wide scope of applications from surveillance to cargo delivery.
I was excited about the technology. We started there building drone. We deployed the first drone ever in Rwanda, and it was just a simple area video drone. And from there, we started getting interest from people all over the world actually, because they were very excited to see in Africa us Africans doing such things. So that's how we started, and we've grown a bit the last 2 years. We've produced actually the first drone certified pilot, actually the only one in Rwanda now. He's our pilot here. The business side of it is there. For example, in agriculture, where Africans, agriculture is a big part of our economy, we are able to help farmers detect diseases early, to prevent crop loss. That's a service that many people need in this country. So if we can continue to scale, not only in Rwanda, or in Africa, I think we can be able to leverage this technology to help people and also make business, grow. And so I think there is a demand there, but you really have to approach the customer and show them that there is a need. For example, another application will be mapping. Our countries have really outdated maps, and it causes a lot of issues in terms of urban planning, but with drones you can create a high-resolution map cheaper. So, the application and so the business is there, but the education, we really need to educate the customer and show them that they need this kind of services. People are developing cargo drones, and I think that will be the future. It's going there, but also there's this other application, for example, mining exploration. So the applications are endless. It's just how much we can think of it now. There are unimaginable things coming up, so I think it's very hard to predict exactly where this is going, but definitely I see a future in drone where we will not, they will be like cell phones. We will need them in almost every area of our lives in Africa.
With the emergence of wide-body planes in Ethiopian Airlines and more recently Rwanda, the industry is looking at connecting to more routes, but also saving more on fuel expenses with top-shelf engines like the Trent XWB.
To be quite honest, we see from a wide-body market perspective, the African market is growing and is a massive place for us to be. We're probably out of it for a few years, but we're seeing the African airlines, Ethiopian, Air Mauritius, Air Austral, South African, buying more and more brand new wide-body aircraft. Now ultimately, these aircraft are probably about 10% more efficient than the aircraft that they're replacing at a minimum from a fuel burn perspective. So straight off the bat, you're saving the airlines $1.5 million per aircraft per year in fuel savings alone. And we're hearing in a lot of the conferences here and a lot of the talks and debates with the airline CEOs that the price of fuel in Africa is a lot more expensive than their competitors in Europe and the Middle East. So instead of paying, say, $1.50 a gallon, you're paying $3, $4, $5 a gallon, which is really hitting hard on what's important to the African operators, which is your customers, because that's a knock-on effect. So the more that we can help with that in technology and ensuring that we provide the most efficient engines is massive. And our research and development, we have a forward-looking view of not only the engines we have today, the Trent XWB, for example, is the most efficient aero engine in the world. I mean, we power both Airbus and Boeing wide-body airframes, so we're on both airframes with huge engines, super efficient. But I think you need to look into the future and see what more can you do.
The journey might be long when it comes to air travel becoming more affordable on the African continent, but all the right steps, all the right ingredients are being applied and sourced here in Rwanda. That's where we'll leave it for this edition of Doing Business in Rwanda. I'm Arnold Segawa from the entire Doing Business in Rwanda team. Thank you for watching.